So what exactly is a debate? And how will you benefit from learning more about the topic and practicing the skills you acquire from studying it? Well, a debate is a formal argument between two or more opposing sides. Debates are often associated with politics and elections, but they also form part of the student development programs in schools and are extensively used in university settings. In reality, the word argument is slightly misleading. It gives the impression of an unregulated shouting match, but that is not how a debate works. There is a set structure for timed presentations, both for and against a particular issue or motion. Roles are allocated for opposing advocates: a neutral chairperson to apply rules to ensure there is no bias or unreasonable behaviour. And there are stylistic conventions and procedures that must be followed before a decision or an outcome is reached, usually decided by a vote taken by those who have been observing the debate and are swayed one way or another by the points being made. Such events as these have been embedded in our culture since ancient times. Examples being the Mytilenean debate of 427 BC, a brutal Athenian assembly debate recorded by the father of history, Thucydides, featuring Cleon and Diodotus, on whether to massacre the men of Mytilene for revolt. And then there was the Catiline orations of 63 BC, whereby the famous Roman orator Cicero, a Roman consul, delivered passionate speeches condemning Catiline's conspiracy to overthrow the state. Both of which had major impacts on the functionality of not only Athenian democracy in the former case, establishing the value of the assembly versus elite rule, but also in the Roman case in terms of their notions of rhetoric and truth, which established whether or not effective communication, or indeed absolute truth, was the goal of education and political life. These are in fact the hallmarks of what we think of today as Western democracy, and are epitomised by what we observe operating in the Houses of Parliament in Westminster and Congress in the Capitol building in Washington, DC. Both being legislative bodies where debates are held and decisions taken that define how the citizens of countries like Britain, and indeed the United States, live their everyday lives. Some more recent foundational debates are those related to the slave trade and its abolition in the late 18th century. These were intense parliamentary debates spurred by activists like Sir William Dolben, who introduced a key bill to the House of Commons in 1788. Then there was the King and Country debate of 1933, a famous Oxford Union debate where students voted against fighting for king and country, a position reflecting the intense interwar pacifism of that period. In the United States, of course, there's the famous 7 Lincoln-Douglas debates of 1858 in Illinois, which centered upon this extension of slavery, effectively, into the new US Western territories. And of course, the Kennedy-Nixon debates of 1960, the first televised US presidential debates, which demonstrated how the media, and in that specific case television appearances, can influence voter behaviour by way of personal as well as political perception. And what knowledge and skills will you derive from all of this? Well, the first and foremost is critical thinking, the ability to judge whether or not an argument is valid and persuasive. It will also measure how well an individual can justify and sustain through argument their own belief. In a digital and social media dominated world, where we are bombarded minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day with information, it is vital, in fact a vital life skill, to apply your own judgment to what you're being told. Then of course there's public speaking, oration. Like so many other things in life, practice makes perfect, and public speaking or rhetoric is no different. It will develop self-confidence, another important life skill, which will serve you well in both your professional and private spheres. Along with this comes self-confidence. Debating effectively requires prior research of the themes involved, and understanding and comprehension of those themes. Because you will be advocating for one cause or another. And in doing so, you must not only put the best case that you can forward for what you're suggesting, but you must also anticipate the counterpoints from your opponents. Teamwork is another feature that will be developed. For a debate to succeed, it is essential, indeed vital, that people work together. It is a really important feature of the debating process to respect the other team and give everyone the opportunity to make their point on an equal basis. Teamwork is an important skill that you will be able to deploy in all aspects of your life. As is assertiveness, the correct form of assertiveness. Debating requires a sense of competitiveness, that's true, but also an ability to call out falsehood and inaccuracies as you see them. Planning. At the very centre of any debate are two carefully crafted and well-prepared arguments. You will need to deploy persuasive writing, rehearse how you will present in the form of the spoken word, and take notes to quote people accurately to either support your position or debunk your opponent. Life is full of disagreements. Debate will show that to you. Learning how to disagree with another person is something that comes with experience. Practicing debating skills with your classmates is a very good way to encourage tolerance and understand other people's opinions. So what will we be doing in the enrichment sessions? Well, we'll be engaging with the history and methodologies associated with debates and learning about the great orators of different periods. We will also investigate how Parliament and Congress operates today. We will start by beginning to practice the scaffolding skills to construct credible arguments by means of informal themes and topics selected from current world events, before moving on to more formal and procedural practices. And we will be encouraging active listening and inculcating respectful rebuttal. The sessions will be extremely lively and participatory. Be prepared to speak out and share your opinions. Together we will exchange views and learn collaboratively as individuals and work in unison in cohesive teams to convey our positions on a variety of exciting subjects and important matters of the day. I really do look forward to meeting with you, learning about you and your stance on the vital questions that face us and societies that we live in every day. We will pool our knowledge and encourage each other in a stimulating and robust way. Thank you for listening.